it's all going. So let's get started. Today's video is not going to be about sewing at all. In fact, it's going to be the opposite of sewing. So lately I've just been feeling very overwhelmed with the amount of possessions I have, or the amount of clutter I have, I suppose, in my home. And in a few weeks, I'm also expecting guests over. My mom is coming to visit me. My brother is coming to visit me with his family. My parents-in-law are expected to visit me. And I'm just feeling too overwhelmed with all the stuff I have in my home. And I think today, even though I had planned to film a sewing video for you guys, I realized that doing that is not going to give me joy today. So today, instead of sewing, I'm going to do the exact opposite of sewing. Here in front of me is an IKEA, I think it's a calyx cube. It's a huge cube. It's full of fabric pieces. And I want to declutter it so that I have some more room in my cupboard where I keep my crafting supplies. So I'm going to use a very simple method, which is the Konmari method, where I'm going to pick up each item, see if it sparks joy, and if it doesn't, I'm just going to give it away. I'm only going to keep the things which spark joy, or at a stretch, if I feel like, yes, I do intend to use that for a project, only then I'm going to keep them. Otherwise, it's all going. So let's get started. So this is a piece of green felt. It's a high quality felt, and actually I know exactly why I'm going to use this, so I'm going to keep this. This is also a high quality wool mix felt, and I know why I need this, so I'm going to keep this. This I have no intentions of using, so I'm going to get rid of this. Again, no intentions of using, so they go. A huge piece of calico that I had bought recently, and if you're on my email list, I actually emailed you giving you details about this calico and how you can actually see seeds within the fiber. It's quite cool actually. And I actually intend to make bags out of this fabric, so I am going to keep this. A piece of stripy cotton mix fabric that I intend to make appliques with for my daughter, so this is staying. Now this is interesting. Look, this is a mesh fabric, and I had been keeping this for so long thinking, oh, one day I'm going to make these pretty fragrance pouches with these to tuck inside my bedding shelves. But actually they've been sitting untouched in my shelf for years now, and I've not got around to using them, so they're going, because every time I see them it's just a guilt trip. No intentions of using this at the moment, so this goes. And I'm actually going to keep working through this fabric stash. I'm going to lift up each piece of fabric, see if I need to use it or if it sparks joy, and if it doesn't, it goes. Okay, so just watch me go through this. I'll speed it up for you guys. I can't forget the day we met, your eyes. Okay, so within a few minutes, I've emptied the cube. Now let me show you what I have decluttered and what I have decided to keep and why. So all of this pile is a pile that I will be decluttering or giving away. And that's because A, either they do not spark joy, or B, I don't have any definitive projects decided for them. Now I know inspiration can strike at any moment, and for that you need to have some stash at hand. But I do have enough left over so that I'm confident that when inspiration does strike, I will have somewhere to go to get my fabric. But for now, all of this is just weighing me down, and I know I'm gonna feel great when I put all of this in a charity bag. I think someone else is going to find it a lot more useful than what I've been doing with them, which is just keeping them unloved, tucked away in the bottom of an old box. Now over on this side, this is all the stash that I have decided to keep. Most of these are larger pieces of fabric and not just very small random pieces. And there's a reason why I had so many small random pieces of fabric in my pink box, because my daughters, they are 8 and 10, and they keep going into my fabric stash with their little scissors and cutting away small pieces of fabric to make little crafty things for their dolls or for their art projects. So that's why I had so many random pieces of fabric, and I never mind that. So even if they want to go at this stash with their small little pair of scissors, I'm not gonna mind. I let them have a free reign of whatever stuff I have most of the time, unless it's very, very precious, of course. So the reason why I've kept this stash is because every time I touched and picked something up, I knew exactly what I would be using it for, or it's got some sentimental value. For example, a lot of these are actually remnants from fabrics that my mother had actually stitched to create clothes for herself. So every time I touch this fabric, it's like, I'm close to my mom. It belonged to her. She gave it to me. When I touch this fabric, it's almost like I'm feeling the clothes that she was wearing. So even though these heirloom type of fabrics are smaller pieces, I am holding on to them because they give me joy. Every time I touch them, I feel great. I feel like my mom is close to me. So I know I'll be using them for something great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bag the stuff that I want to give away. I'm going to organize this and I'm going to share with you how I organize this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron each item of fabric that I have kept, that I've chosen to keep. I'm going to iron it and fold it neatly and then put it away. So let's do that. So already these fabric pieces are looking so much better. I'm going to continue to do this. I'm not going to bore you with showing you how I iron fabric pieces. And once it's all done, I'm going to show you how it looks. Okay, so our decluttering is done and I'm actually feeling great about it because when I started to iron my pieces of fabric, I realized that I can actually declutter even more. Once I had handled certain pieces of fabrics enough, I realized that I'm not so emotionally attached to them as I felt I would be. So I actually ended up getting rid of even more fabric pieces behind the camera. So what we are left with is this. This is a stash of larger pieces of fabric, all of these. And then these are smaller pieces of fabrics. And what I realized is I don't need a huge calyx cube to store them. So I went digging in my boxes and I found, yep, it's an IKEA Samla, I don't know what you call it. But this was just like a cheap box that I bought. And I think this will be perfect for holding the smaller pieces of fabric. And look, it fits beautifully inside the smaller box. Now let's see if we can fit some more to it. So I actually wanted to show you this before I put my fabric away. I found an old packing cube from one of my travel suitcases. Look what happened. When I open it, my heirloom fabric, which belonged to my grandma, and which is actually very silky and slippery, and it sheds threads as well, I managed to store it perfectly within. And open up within the box, so it can actually now fit inside the box. So literally the only thing now. Now let me put this away and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've placed my fabric stash inside the cupboard now, and as you can see, it's hardly taking up any space at all. Previously, this calyx cube used to sit where the stash is sitting, and there I used to have that giant pink calyx cube with all my fabrics, but now it has shrunken down to literally like half the size of a calyx cube, and it's a lot more neater and more organized than before. I hope today's video, even though it was a bit candid and a bit unplanned, I hope you found today's video helpful, and that if you are feeling overwhelmed with your fabric stash, I hope it inspires you to declutter as well. I'm feeling so good. I've already bagged up the usable fabric, which can be donated to charity, and I'm going to dump it in my car trunk. The very small pieces, I just bin them because I know nobody else can use them. And I'm just feeling great about the whole situation now. I will continue to declutter. I've got loads more stuff, but for now, I think this is a great start. So thank you so much for staying with me so far. If you found this video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more crafting and planning tutorials. I shall see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.